When done properly, the internet, screens, and particularly social media can provide 5 essential elements of adolescent well-being: a sense of control over one's environment, individuation, self-expression, a connection to others, and acceptance. And then there is the abyss. Welcome to App-Propriate, a podcast designed to give you a little taste into the positives and negatives of the most popular social media apps, so that you and your most importants can make more informed, healthy, and safer choices when it comes to interacting through your screens. I'm your host, Joe Langford. Note that I said safer, not safe. Interacting through screens with other humans contains a degree of natural risk, just like real life. And I believe that education leads to empowerment, and I hope this information helps add a degree of safety, social responsibility, and good digital citizenship to your social networking and the conversations you have about it with your family. Today's episode is about Facebook. Facebook falls into the media sharing / content curation and the live streaming / connection motivated app categories. Facebook is a social networking site in which users have a personal profile called a timeline, an easily managed mini version of a web page. Users can friend other users, yes, friend is now a verb, in order to exchange messages, post status updates, and photos with people both publicly and privately. Users can post pictures, text, share content from the internet, including news articles and memes. Users can also decorate their pages and play games, stay in touch with their most important people, as well as that kid that sat next to you in bio class in the 10th grade. They can post and tag photos, share product information, market a small business, create polls, follow social causes and celebrities, participate in activism and fan behavior, like and comment on others' content, live stream events, shop, and live chat via Messenger, an integrated text app that's a cousin of Facebook. Many young people may cut their social networking teeth on Facebook. It can be a nice way for them to feel they're being invited to the grown-up party, but most will quickly leave for their own to spend time with their peers away from the adults, just like they do in real life. Though many teens are now only using Facebook as one of many methods of communication, it's still relevant, continues to innovate, and much like with email, they'll come back around to it once they reach college age. The primary lesson or takeaway when talking to your kids about Facebook is that the same rules apply to your online life and behavior as they do in the real world. When I think about online interactions, specifically with social networking, I often try to sort out what the real-world equivalent of this thing would be. Now I've decided that Facebook is a dinner party. Civilized conversation, chit-chat, people share pictures of their cat or that enchilada they had for lunch yesterday. One doesn't get into a shouting match with a sibling or a stranger at a dinner party. You don't break up with a girlfriend at a dinner party, etc. The majority of people on Facebook are on their best behavior, and those who aren't tend to stick out in a way that they don't on some other platforms. That being said, other than targeted ads, most content is user-created or user-shared from third parties, and so can vary depending on who you friend and follow. As always, posting publicly, oversharing, and cyberbullying are concerns with social media, and with the addition of live streaming in 2016, it's even more important to talk to teens about both what's appropriate to share and who's appropriate to follow on Facebook. Users can hide posts they don't like, untag themselves, and even unfriend or block other people. Additionally, there's a button alongside each post to notify Facebook and report inappropriate content. Facebook has 20,000 people employed to monitor content and tend to cyberbullying concerns, but it still happens. Facebook is one of the biggest and most relevant social networks. In many ways, they did it first, they did it best, and most every other enduring social platform has been some sort of riff on their theme. There's a lot about Facebook that's attractive to users, and it's important to know how it works before one jumps in and starts posting. To sign up for Facebook, you need to be at least 13 and have a valid email address. Once you have that account, you can friend other users whose posts will start to appear on your timeline. Users can use privacy settings to determine who has access to their information. Through Facebook settings, users can choose to have their account accessible to everyone, only to friends, or to a customized group. Users can also select what personal information is shared with others. Liking a product or a celebrity profile will make related posts appear on your timeline and will trigger targeted advertising. Facebook's privacy settings are layered and can change often, so it's important for users to check their settings and make sure that they're only sharing what and with whom they want to share. Speaking of privacy, as we all know by now, in 2016, the Trump-aligned firm called Cambridge Analytica managed to collect data on 50 million people using Facebook to collect user info, which was then used to aid political candidates and influence the U.S. presidential election. Worse still, the individuals who opted into Cambridge Analytica's collection, which was disguised as a personality quiz on Facebook, made their friends' information vulnerable to this manipulation as well. The social network's policies have changed since Cambridge Analytica's 2016 operation, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But it is important to acknowledge that we are not the customers of Facebook, we're the products. This isn't totally a bad thing. I personally don't really mind if they know that I just Googled about a London vacation or that brand of jeans I just bought on Amazon shows up in the ads next to my feed. I don't think targeted ads are necessarily bad. They save me time, they do an actually great job of finding things that I'm interested in, and is a much better alternative to either paying for Facebook or having to deal with non-targeted ads. But we now have more understanding around exactly how Facebook and any social networking or information sharing service can be used to manipulate, how irresponsible use and sharing can impact other people, and how susceptible we all are to viral disinformation. One response to this is to delete Facebook. Shut down your profile, abandon the app, use your phone to actually talk to people like the cavemen used to do. Actually talk to your neighbors. Not that. That's crazy talk. But what about postcards? Postcards are cool. My mother-in-law still sends me postcards. I think it's lovely. Or we could use a different app. There's loads out there, and for most people, when you boil Facebook down to the bones, it comes out to 3 things: pictures, messaging, and news. And all of those itches can be scratched by different apps. If you're angry about what Facebook has done and doing, you can take your business elsewhere. The company may not deserve your trust or your business, and you'll have more free time to do other things, better things, like postcards. For other people, in fact, thousands and thousands of people, Facebook is how they keep in touch with loved ones, plan weekends and evenings, engage with like-minded communities, and many of them may find Facebook indispensable. And that's okay too. It's reasonable to be outraged because what happened was outrageous. The shock about it is questionable. These concerns about what apps like Facebook are doing with our information has been a concern for years. And there's zero reason to have expected that social networking services were going to be without drama or trauma. No major shift in human culture has done this. The printing press, telephones, computers, they all have benefits and drawbacks, from the creation of the first stone knife to the development of language to public transit. Mankind, ingenious as we are, have both benefited and suffered at the hands of these inventions. Why would we think one developed in a dorm room would be any different? We all need to consider our relationship to Facebook going forward, and here's a few points to consider. 1. Facebook is how a lot of people stay in touch with a lot of other people, including many who are in touch with each other no other way. People also create social circles and plan activities, find news stories, keep up with their communities, stave off loneliness, and find information and allies in activism. Deleting Facebook is a form of privilege, and not everyone can afford the costs. The cost of their social life, the cost of their business plan. Facebook, for all its problems, has become a necessary part of life for many people, one that they may not be able to shed personally or professionally. Sometimes promoting your work, staying in contact with important people, or even accessing supportive communities in ways that you're not able to in real life simply means being on Facebook. 2, some of this isn't about Facebook, it's about social networking. Social networking is still relatively new and growing, and we all, from the developers to law enforcement to the helping professions and even the users ourselves, are figuring out how to deal with things we never anticipated. There's no comprehensive federal online privacy law in the U.S., and as such, bigger picture conversations about user privacy, security, boundaries, and well-being, regulations, and transparency become incredibly important. And finally, there's user error. Life is busy, and the average person doesn't always take the time to separate the facts from the false. Filtering through fake news can be exhausting, and it's easy to share messages without even reading them, never mind evaluating their accuracy. We can confuse sound bites and memes for actual information. Because of technology, anyone can be a news source, and getting something to go viral is all one has to do to excite the interest of people. Popular opinion and truth are different things, but they don't always appear that way. And we all like to hear what we like to hear, making us even more susceptible to either fake news or only news that's consistent with our own belief and value systems, dished up purposefully packaged by a plethora of news sources with varying credentials and biases. But the time for ignorance is over. We need social responsibility and good digital citizenship to counterbalance a bad product. You don't have to delete Facebook, but you can use it less, and you can use it differently. We don't have to unplug from the lot of good that comes from social networking to say goodbye to a lot of the bad that comes with it as well. Facebook specifically has come under further scrutiny around their fact-checking policy and has raised wider concerns about the power of Facebook's ad targeting. As we enter yet another election season, in particular, controversy around allowing politicians to run false and misleading ads and how voters are targeted on their platform. The primary problem with this is that the public scrutiny that comes along with political speech, calling out obvious lies and untruths, is difficult to do on social media. Political ads on television or on print are accessible to fact-checkers and political opponents, and this dynamic helps keep most people on track, avoiding that urge to share and spread false, inflammatory, or slanderous messages to the larger public. But social media feeds, like I said, tend to be quite homogeneous. Most people follow people who are pretty similar to them, creating a closed system that's invulnerable to not only different viewpoints, but refutations or information that can contradict or correct misleading or actively false information. A second unique dynamic to online political advertising is the fact that social media ads tend to be brief, fleeting, and directly targeted to individuals based on demographics and algorithms, creating a version of a cone of silence, preventing other candidates the opportunity to respond or offer other information to that same audience. So in light of this, as we approach an election year, I want to offer some digital citizenship guidelines that we can use. Because if the social media platforms are not going to help us delineate the false from the fact, are not going to create opportunities for balanced and legit debate, are not going to facilitate legitimate discussion around important topics, we all need to learn how to do this for ourselves as we're bombarded with screen-based stimuli, so we can help our children do the same. For those who do decide to stick with Facebook, there are some ways to navigate this. 1. Don't trust social media. Sometimes it's good to remind ourselves that social media is media. Again, not necessarily a bad thing, but it is our job as media products to decide how and when we're willing to be manipulated. This environment calls into play the need to practice basic media literacy stuff like clicking on purpose, don't rabbit hole down into things. Specifically, turning off Facebook's integration with apps, games, and websites removes apps or games that you've logged into using Facebook. This is called Platform, and it can be disabled by going into Facebook settings, clicking Apps in the left side menu, going to Apps, Websites, and Plugins, clicking Edit, and then Disable Platform. Don't click on ads in general, like pages and third-party content sparingly, and the same with following and friending. For most of us, our contacts on Facebook will be more similar than different in terms of attitude and philosophy. We must acknowledge that this choice leaves us in a bubble and unexposed to differing viewpoints. So it can help to connect to people and sources that are different than us. This challenges us and exposes us to different viewpoints, though it does require us to pay attention to our behavior and perhaps check some of our more basic instincts. Understand that data was used to manipulate us, and what makes people manipulatable is being uninformed, not checking sources, herd mentality, not examining ourselves and our sources in the face of negative evidence, gullibility, righteous bandwagoning indignation, and just good old-fashioned fear. Critical thinking, being well-informed, and researching what you're responding to are necessary parts of social networking. Consider viral articles as suspect. Same goes with previously unheard-of sources and headlines with exclamation points in them. When questioning sources, go directly to the websites rather than staying only in your own feed or your timeline. As always, Snopes.com and factcheck.org are your friends. Another resource is the Fakie app, designed by the Observatory on Social Media at Indiana University to help people become more aware of biases in the brain, society, and technologies, and to protect themselves from outside influences that are designed to exploit them. The app is fun. It presents articles and ads and feeds and then asks players to identify which stories and information sources are reliable and which aren't. It's super informative and a great way to both beef up our objectivity muscles and bring kids into these conversations as well. 2. Beware of the bots. A Facebook bot is an automated software program that's designed to create and control a fake Facebook account. Facebook bots generate a profile by scraping images and information from other sources, and after setting up a fake profile, it spreads by friending other Facebook users. While there are bots that are made for legitimate uses, a significant percentage are malicious. Bots on social media sites are known as social bots, and they fall into the larger category of malicious bots, manufactured to manipulate both you and the larger conversation in order to further unknown, or sometimes known, agendas, like the ones designed to incite fear and outrage as a way to support or slander specific political candidates. Bots invade every platform around. They're everywhere and they do their jobs well. Getting rid of them or even avoiding them are likely impossible tasks, but you can fight them if you can identify them. Reverse image searching profile pictures, vetting an account's feed history for suspicious behavior, like a new account with a huge number of followers, or accounts that post dozens and dozens of times a day. Trusting your gut and common sense are the best ways to do this. Realizing an account is an automated bot takes away its power to play you. Muting and blocking both bots and actual humans who promote racist, phobic, hateful, and fake information is the responsible thing to do, as is reporting those accounts to the platform. And finally, unplug. Non-digital socializing, face-to-face or analog socializing is not only fun and healthy, but it's a much better way to glean, discuss, and learn about current events. So I'd like to take the opportunity to encourage you to take these ideas into consideration as we head into an election season. To say thank you for your support and your listening, and wish you a Happy New Year. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Langford. I'm a therapist, a sex and tech educator, and a dad, and I specialize in helping families navigate that intersection of adolescence, sexuality, technology, and behavior. More information about me and my work to promote healthy, positive, and safer sexual and social behavior, both online and off, can be found at my website, beheroes.net.
The advice presented in this podcast is a form of education and is intended to provide general information about common though broad topics that impact underage people. Specific circumstances and facts may make said advice unsuitable and/or other actions necessary for individuals. This podcast is meant to be an adjunct, not a replacement for IRL experience, professional advice, and good old-fashioned common sense. In addition, much of the information included here can and most likely will change with time, culture, and the rapid development of technology. BeHeroes.net does not seek nor accept any monetary gain or financial support from any social media platform mentioned. BeHeroes.net is committed to providing quality consulting, coaching, product, speaker, and contracted therapeutic services, advocacy, and resources to clients, visitors, customers, colleagues, and fans. Appropriate is produced by BeHeroes.net.